South China Morning Post, 2nd of March 2024, China is wagering that its charm offensive will deceive and alienate Europe from the US. As part of its divide and rule strategy, China aims to prevent the United States and Europe from banding together against a belligerent China. Amid numerous conflicting factors worldwide, there appears to be one bright spot. The deteriorating US-China relationship has somewhat stopped since US President Joe Biden and President Xi Jinping met at the Apec conference in November 2023. Nevertheless, Beijing appears adamant that positive ties with the US can no longer be upheld above a surface-level interaction. Beijing now views itself as a force for stability and security in a world that has transcended the need for the US and the democratic world, as stated in its Global Security Initiative. As a result, China's relations with the European Union and its 27 member nations are vital in its quest for international allies in a world that is becoming increasingly divided. This partially explains why the world sees a Chinese charm blitz to capture Europe's soul. Foreign Minister Wang Yi visited France and Spain in addition to holding meetings with foreign ministers and leaders of Europe during the Munich Security Conference. Wang was resolved to make his attendance at the conference a win-win situation, even if the conference launched its annual report against the backdrop of lose-lose dynamics. Wang emphasized China's goal to serve as a staunch force for stability in the globe, despite Beijing's inactivity in the Red Sea conflict, Moscow's invasion of Ukraine, and Beijing's support of Moscow throughout that attack. More significantly, he said that China and Europe are the world's two major forces, markets, and civilizations, focusing on the future of EU-China collaboration. Wang stated that it was essential that China and Europe stay clear of geopolitical and ideological distractions, see each other as partners rather than rivals, and join hands to inject positive energy into a volatile world and point the way for overcoming difficulties together, with an eye toward the US and the re-establishment of close transatlantic relations under the Biden administration. The unspoken concern was Donald Trump's possible return following the November US election. China would gain if Washington changed its foreign policy drastically and encouraged Europe to pursue a more autonomous global agenda. China seems to be preparing for the ultimate realization of European strategic autonomy, which has long been supported by France's enduringly pro-Gaullist foreign policy inclinations. Following that, Wang met with several European leaders, including German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić, Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski, Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba, and EU High Representative for External Affairs Josep Borrell. China's message at these meetings emphasized the need for both sides to intensify their bilateral development and mutually beneficial cooperation. Wang's well-planned meeting schedule at the Munich conference demonstrated China's decision to give Europe a higher priority on its foreign policy agenda. Despite the concurrent gathering of the group of 20 foreign ministers, Wang opted to attend the discussions in Europe and dispatched Vice Minister Ma Xiaoqiu to Brazil. China has increased its efforts to attend significant international events and serve as a global symbol that China is once again open for business in the wake of its strict zero-COVID pandemic policy. Wang's following itinerary included a quick visit to Madrid to meet with Pedro Sánchez, the Prime Minister, Foreign Minister José Manuel Albares, and King Felipe VI of Spain. Beijing terminated its 24-year ban on beef imports from Spain in exchange for fair, just, and non-discriminatory business relations between the parties. Wang's European visit came to an end in Paris, where he met with officials and the President of France, Emmanuel Macron. Naturally, advancing fair and unrestricted trade and strengthening strategic coordination were among the subjects covered. Wang argued that Paris and the EU should have an autonomous and constructive role in international affairs. Still, Macron informed him that China must force Russia to return to the negotiating table by making a serious offer to settle the conflict in Ukraine. Among the EU's most active diplomatic partners are the countries Wang visited. They have most recently followed a similar path by committing to de-risking and developing new tactics for dealing with China. After a potentially isolationist second Trump administration, Beijing may hope that Berlin and Paris will turn to China. Still, it is improbable that they will desert their long-standing friend in favor of China. Public Security Minister Wang Zhohong traveled to Budapest to meet with Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban while the foreign minister was occupied in Western Europe. To finalize agreements on law enforcement and security cooperation, he also met with Sándor Pinter, the Interior Minister of Hungary, while he was there. Although Hungary is somewhat of an anomaly among EU members and has sided more closely with autocratic countries in recent years, Beijing may see this as a successful first step in efforts to build closer connections with European states. Chinese and European officials met in Brussels after the foreign minister visited Europe to explore collaborating on projects including cars and essential minerals. However, nothing is written in stone regarding Sino-European relations, particularly in light of the EU's move to place some Chinese companies on a blocklist for supporting Russia's invasion of Ukraine. In the next several months, Europe must decide how to carve out its destiny, regardless of whether the US is still a trustworthy ally. It's unclear if China's charm drive has successfully swung back Europe's increasing desire to de-risk relations and shifted the balance of power in China's favor.